All right, I'm here with Sam Reimnitz. I'm Clay Austin. He is a photographer, jeweler, rugby player. I mean, the guy does it all. So we're just gonna have a good conversation about how he got into photography, jewelry, and all those types of things. So how are you doing today?
Good, man. Very good. How are you?
Yeah, glad to have you here. Thank you for
for
taking time out.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So let's just talk about your upbringing. Was an artistic culture like instilled in you early, or is
Yeah.
that something you picked up on your own?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely got the artistic bug from my parents. Both my parents are architects and
wow, cool.
both artists as well. And so growing up, I was exposed to a lot of things that I think I wouldn't have been if I didn't have artistic parents. Like, they were really big on teaching me about art and taking me to museums
Right.
and stuff like that. Whereas I think if I didn't have them, I wouldn't have gone to as many things and like learned to appreciate that. And that definitely sort of like rubbed off on me and made me want to do it because like I saw them doing it.
Right. Yeah, that's good to know. So does that like from a young age it seemed like you had like an open mind towards things? So
Yeah,
does that like kind of play a role into like when you're designing new things or just out like taking pictures and anything?
Absolutely. I mean, like trying to get a different perspective on things is like all of what photography is.
Right.
Like seeing something, but you got to frame it the right way. You got to see it in a different light, or like an image says, an image is worth 1,000 words
Right,
or something.
yeah.
So you can take a picture, it can mean so much. And same with designing. Like if you look online and on Instagram, like on my feed, you see design every day, and it's all like really
Right.
similar. So you got to learn how to like think outside the box and
right.
like make something new, do
Yeah.
something different, and that's the hardest part.
Right.
Easily the hardest part, especially being a designer right now, is that like thinking outside the box and doing something different because you're bombarded with images from designers. I follow 100 designers
Yeah.
on Instagram. Like,
Right.
and,
Yeah,
like,
I was gonna say
you're-
with technology, it's
Yeah.
really hard to come up with new ideas, especially when famous people are like doing
see
things.
it,
You're
you
just
see
like, well, I
everything.
should
You're
try
like,
that.
wow, yeah, that
Yeah.
looks great. Like, let me do something like that. Which is like, that's not a bad place to start, but you got to build on it, build on what they're doing, build on their ideas, like
Right.
counter their ideas, stuff like that. So thinking outside the box, definitely. Big
So,
thing.
what did you start doing first? Like really getting serious into jewelry or photography?
So I started with it's sort of hard to explain because they sort
Right.
of grew simultaneously.
Okay.
I started in graphic design, and that sort of led me to doing my own photography because I like to do a lot of like print layouts and like
Okay.
magazine stuff. So I like to work with images, and it's hard to contact photographers and get their images or find them online and like have the proper accreditation. So like started taking my own photography so I could work with my own images, which helped me as a designer. And then at the same time, like when I started doing design, I loved it, but it's all on a computer screen, and
Right,
I always
yeah.
loved working with my hands
Hands,
and
right.
like building and like really like hitting
Yeah.
something, like really like working, like sculpting with my hands. So I picked up doing jewelry literally just as like, I took intro jewelry at Syracuse. I just started doing it, didn't think anything of it, and I
Right.
got super into the hobby. Like I just loved like building and making things. And yeah, I just kept going with it and got really into it. So I think both the photography and the jewelry sort of like grew together at the same
Right.
time on like different sides
That's
of my
really cool.
of things I'm working on.
It's kind of really good to hear how you like working with your hands, like coming from our generation basically.
Yeah.
Everybody's so into their phones and technology, but you're pretty accustomed to working with your hands. I guess
Yeah.
you get that from like your parents and stuff, them being architects.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, I grew up on like an active construction site. Like my
Right.
house was always going under some shit that my dad had thought up. But yeah, I mean, I love design. Don't get me wrong, but like after 2-3 days of just staring at your computer screen, like, there's nothing better than going to the studio and just like
Right.
not even looking at screens, just doing it all straight up with your hands. It's like therapeutic almost.
So like, take me through the process of you like at a studio creating something. It doesn't have to be in depth. Just like how long does it take, or like what's your favorite thing to make now, or something.
That's a tough question because everything's a little different.
Right.
Because like I do a lot of work for people,
Okay,
so I
cool.
already know what I'm making. Like I've talked to them, like we've like made an idea or drawn something up, and I just get in and I start like cutting and building the shapes, and then like putting it all together. Or sometimes when I'm making something for myself, well, I mean almost always when I'm making something for myself, like
Right.
I just I start with like a rough idea of what I want to do, like a ring, a necklace, something like that, and I just start on something
Right.
and just get the juices flowing. And I
Right.
see as I'm going in one direction, like, right, this is working, like maybe add this or add that, or right, this isn't working, like go in a different direction. But I don't think I plan things when I'm working for myself as much as I do when I'm working for other people. Like when I've got a client piece, I know exactly the steps I'm gonna do. Like I've written it
Right.
out. I know exactly how I'm gonna execute. But when I'm working for myself, it's more like free flowing because like
Right.
there's no deadline.
You got
There's
more
no
creativity and
more. Yeah,
freedom
I
with
like.
it.
Yeah, exactly. There's no deadline. I can just
Yeah.
flow with it. Like I can make exactly what I want to make. Like there's like the finish. It doesn't even have to ever get finished. I could just stop and start working on something else.
Right.
So it's definitely more free flowing with my own work.
Right. So like when you say you have clients and you do pieces for them, do you
Yeah.
give them a time frame like how long it's gonna take, or they just let you basically freehand and just whenever it's ready type of thing?
Most people, I mean, for the most time, I can give people a pretty good turn, like give them a range of
Right.
time. I usually give myself an extra week of what I think, like if I think something's gonna take me a week to make,
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it's gonna be
Sure.
2 weeks.
Right, that's
because
smart, yeah.
there's always something that comes up,
Yeah.
schoolwork, rugby,
Plan for the
whatever,
inevitable,
like
yeah.
exactly. So I always at least tack on a week. For big things, I'll tack on 2 weeks. Most people will be like, can you get it to me by this? Can you get it to me by that? And I try my best, but yeah, I mean, it depends.
Right.
It's situational, but I mean, for small things like bracelets, rings, I say like 2 weeks. For big things, like I did a
Right.
chain for this dude.
Oh,
like
okay, cool.
Last year, I mean, I gave him like 2 months just because it was
Yeah.
a big piece. Had a lot of different things. I had to ship out some of the things. Like there were stones that I couldn't get access to, so I had
Wow,
to go
that's crazy.
ship out and like have them put the stones in
Right.
and send it back to me, stuff like that.
That's crazy.
So like it's piece by piece,
Yeah.
but I try and give them a time frame as best I can.
Right. So how do you just stay like in tune with it, especially when you're doing like you said a big chain that takes months and you
Yeah.
got to send stones, come back. Like
Yeah.
obviously I know artistically you get frustrated. So how do you just like stay with it? I know
How do I
it's
stay
pretty
with
hard.
it? Because like the frustration is part of like the fun. Because like when
Right.
you see in the end, like it feels so damn. Even though I'm not wearing it, like
Yeah.
I love seeing pictures of this guy with
Right.
it like all the time. It feels so good, and it's something I love to do. So like, although there's like long and arduous like parts to it, like sending it out, getting it back,
Right.
like talking to people on the phone, emailing people, like all that stuff. Like even dealing with clients is frustrating because people don't, like I try and take half of the money up front, half when it's done.
Right.
But like some people don't have it.
Yeah,
and I'm
right,
I'm
yeah.
working with students. Like I'm
Yeah,
not working with like
yeah, celebrities or
ballers
anything,
who
yeah.
just pay me for it. So like I try to be understanding and like I don't know. I just love doing it. So you just keep at it and it's good fun. And I don't know. I just work it into my schedule. Just stay organized and make sure you give yourself enough time for everything.
That's really good to hear.
Yeah.
So like what would you say to I guess somebody that is young growing up, maybe middle school or high school, that is like looks through magazines and likes jewelry, he sees like his favorite rapper or whatever, or is like into photography,
Yeah.
but his parents don't show him like that type of side, him or her, that type of side. So how do you how would you get them to get into that type of field, like really pursue their
think-
dream?
I mean, obviously chase what you want to do. If that's what
Right.
you want to do, go for it. I mean, two things, like photography, like you don't have to have a fancy camera. Like I
Right.
just got a brand new, beautiful, fancy camera, which is great. But like, there's this dude, I can't remember his name. I'll try and send it to you. He's like one of the famous photographers in the New York Times.
Right.
He uses an iPhone.
Wow.
Like I mean, how many kids have access to
Just
an
an
iPhone?
iPhone.
If you're into photography, like new iPhones, you can get great pictures
Pictures,
on
right.
new iPhones if you're into photography. So like you don't need, if you're not getting sort of like resources from your parents or support from your parents, like do it on your own. Like
Right.
you got access to a little camera or a little
Yeah.
smartphone. You can take nice pictures. You can, or at least learn the basics of photography.
Exactly.
So when you get on
Yeah.
your own, you can really
Just
get
lay
into
the
it.
groundwork.
And even with jewelry, like I mean, there's so many people who like do like stuff like twisting wire and
Yeah.
like working with beads and stuff that you don't need a studio. You literally just need some wire. You like,
Just
I
need the
get I have the-
pieces.
yeah, exactly. Like I have the studio here in Syracuse with like all these torches and machinery and all
Right.
that stuff. But like, there's so many people who make nice jewelry lines that are just stuff they make in their garage, like with literally
Yeah,
hand
so it
tools
comes
that
out
you don't need
amazing.
anything. So just go after it and use what you got. 'Cause
Yeah, that's
you can,
really-
you can get a lot out of a little.
Yeah, that's really good advice. So like looking forward to the future, like what would you want to accomplish, like I guess short term, like in both, I guess.
Short term, For like photography, I definitely like to be shooting more. Like I feel
Right.
like I can't get out enough to shoot, and I want to do
Right.
more shooting definitely. And I want to try and get some stuff printed. Like there's a lot of magazines that you can just submit things to, and if they like it, they'll publish it and credit you. And so like that's a good way to get your name out. So I definitely got to. I haven't done that at all really recently. I just haven't had time. Like just want to start sending my stuff out, trying to get a little bit of notoriety, so I can hopefully get hired to do some photography stuff rather than just shooting on my own.
Right.
And for jewelry, I just want to keep going to get more clients and get more established, because
Yeah,
I sort
for
of
sure.
have, it's myself right now. I sort of have like, I have another partner, but he lives in the city. I'm here in Syracuse, so
Right.
we're a little disjointed. But hopefully after school we can get together and really like start a business. Because right now we're operating as like
Right.
guys who make jewelry rather than like a business. So I definitely want to like legitimize my operation
Right.
for jewelry, because I'm doing it like all my.
Yeah. Well, you're definitely at a good starting point.
Yeah,
so
no, it's
you
going.
guys got the vision.
Exactly, it's going well right now, but it needs to be like legitimized a little more.
Right. So it's kind of, I think like it's really cool how you said your parents are in architecture and you took it a complete different way, and like
Yeah.
you're making your own way and I guess your own name for yourself. So that's
Yeah.
pretty cool. So thank you for your
thank
time.
you.
I'm with Sam Reimnitz once again. If you want jewelry or cool pictures, you know what to hit up. Syracuse
Yes.
University student. Thank you.
Okay, great, thank you.